Hey, from New Jersey, it's the SNL Nerds, the show where two comics from New Jersey nerd out about Saturday Night Live. I'm your co-host, Darren Patterson.
And I'm your co-host, John Trumbull.
John Trumbull, how are you, sir?
I'm doing okay.
Hey.
Is this how we're talking now?
Yeah, it's Goobity.
Ooh, this won't get annoying.
I know, like, it's in hindsight, that does kind of sound like 70s Steve Martin, now that I really hear it.
Yeah, it's going into like wacky morning DJ territory.
Absolutely. So yeah, I don't know why I came in hot like that.
Yeah, maybe we should just talk.
Just all right. It's a novel idea, but I'll go with it.
I don't know. I feel like if we're not annoying our audiences right from the rip, that might be a good thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Or actually, I should amend that. Not annoying our audiences more than we normally do.
Right. We like to set the table up top just to know what let you guys know what you're about to get into.
Right. We are going to share our thoughts and feelings normally about Saturday Night Live. A lot of times, like during the summer hiatus, we talk about Saturday Night Live movies starring SNL alums and stuff. Occasionally, we'll interview people from the show. So yeah, that's what we do. Sometimes we go back and we look at an old episode of Saturday Night Live, like we did last week with Bob Newhart.
That's right. That's what we do here.
That's what we do. That's what we're about. What are you guys about?
Yeah, what are you about? What makes you so great?
What's going on in your life?
Yeah, let's know what's going on with you, man. Hey, what's going on in there, little guy?
Yeah.
Hey, fella.
Tell us about your life, hypothetical listener. Mm-hmm. We're curious.
Okay.
Oh,
you don't say.
That doesn't sound good.
Oh, he deserved it.
Oh, yeah. No.
Oh, my.
Yeah, you were totally in the right there. Yeah.
Oh, the story got dark.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
Are you pressing charges?
Oh, dear. Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
On the run, you say?
Okay. Well, I mean, you showed them who you are.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. That should not be illegal.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. What's the law in the eyes of the law? Right?
No, I mean you were totally in the right, and I feel like the lawsuit will bear that out.
Exactly. Just get all the blood out, and you'll be fine.
Right.
Okay.
Whew. Wow.
Yeah, I didn't know our listeners had such deep, dark backstories.
They've got stuff going on, man.
Wow. My God. Wow.
Anyway, it's been an eventful week here for the SNL nerds, and an eventful week to be an SNL nerd in general, because this week, since we recorded our last episode, we've had photos and a trailer for Jason Reitman's movie Saturday Night.
Yes, formerly titled SNL 1975, it is now called Saturday Night.
Right, and this is the movie that is covering a fictionalized version of the premiere night of Saturday Night Live. So it's taking place October 11th, 1975, in the 90 minutes leading up to the very first live show.
And the trailer dropped, and all of SNL nerd Twitter, went in hysterics.
Yeah,
after seeing it, and with good reason too. Like I rewatched this trailer. It's been at least maybe 5 or 6 times, and
I watch it like it's the freaking Zapruder film, man. Yeah.
I have to admit, I'm officially pumped for this movie. Like, I've watched the trailer more than I do most Marvel MCU trailers.
Yeah. The same. This is like my most anticipated movie of the year. I was looking forward to it before I watched the trailer. I was like, this looks amazing. I'm really looking forward to it. Did you read the Vanity Fair article, by the way?
I did not. I just saw like most people, I just look at the pictures and the video and be like, oh, all right, I'm done. That was like reading.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Vanity Fair, I think the way their site is set up is like you can read one free article a month, and I'd already read a free one over the last month, which I can't even remember now. So I was like, ooh, okay, shit, I can't read this on my laptop. I know, I'll read it on my phone because I'm tricky like that.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I read that, and I got a few extra tidbits from that.
Yeah, breaking the law.
Some quotes and stuff. I mean, although I should say that, Vanity Fair, it had a very reasonable thing where it's like $1 a month for a year.
Yeah, they're
and,
a
and
fine
then
publication.
they start paying you more, charging you more.
Yeah, they're a fine publication.
Yeah, they're a fine publication, and I enjoy reading like one free article a month from them.
Exactly. But yeah. So, how was the article? What'd you learn? Actually, upon seeing the trailer for this, like I said, I got more hyped for it, and
Mm-hmm.
I really did like the way some of these actors were portraying the characters. Like a lot of them got a lot of the mannerisms down pretty well, I
Yeah,
thought.
yeah. I thought, and it's tough when you're playing real people like this to not be like a caricature. Like Gabriel LaBelle, who's playing Lorne Michaels. He sounds like Lorne, but he's not doing the Lorne voice in a big way. He still sounds like a real guy.
Yeah,
He's
like
not doing like Doctor Evil Lorne.
yeah, he's not like making a cartoony caricature of it. Like
Right.
you hear the Lorneisms, and like
Mm-hmm.
he even had that little Lorne pout out
Yeah.
pretty well. But he doesn't do it to the extent that it sounds like he's doing like a cartoon version of Lorne.
Yeah, and he even says, he even parrots like one of Lorne's expressions is, the show doesn't go on because it's ready. The show goes on because it's 11:30. I liked, we had Cooper Hoffman as Dick Ebersol, and Dick Ebersol, you see him in the trailer. He's kind of like trying to talk Lorne down, and he's saying like, "Look, why don't we punt and just air the dress rehearsal this week, and we'll put a live show together next week." And I like that they have Dick Ebersol talking in sports metaphors because he was NBC's sports guy.
Right.
I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, and it's Cooper Hoffman, the son of the late great Philip Seymour.
Yeah. I like that the trailer starts with Finn Wolfhard as the NBC page, and he's basically busking for the show.
He's out there barking.
He's barking.
Yo, you like comedy?
Yeah, free comedy show, guys. Free comedy. And, you still see that when you go into New York City today. Maybe not from NBC pages, but
it was the 70s, man. A different time, baby.
It was the 70s. It was a wild time. We get glimpses of some of the cast members. We see Corey Michael Smith as Chevy Chase, who seems appropriately Chevy Chase-ish.
Yeah, like there was that one line where he said, "Oh, is this an ensemble?" He sounded like a young Chevy in that moment, where it's like, "Oh, that sounds a little Chevy." And like,
and he does a pratfall at the end. And he says, "Oh, sorry, I tripped over my penis," which seems like a very Chevy sort of gag.
That was very Chevy.
Yeah, and from what I understand, Jason Reitman and Gil Keenan, as co-writer, they interviewed everybody that they could who was around for the premiere episode of SNL, and so they're putting a lot of real life detail in there. And I remember reading in the Vanity Fair article, they actually they got the original blueprints for 8H from SNL's original production designer, whose name I'm blanking on right now, but he had actually passed away since they had interviewed him, and like three of the people that they've interviewed have since passed away, because it was 50 years ago. So yeah, this will be cool. I mean, it's a fictionalized retelling, but
yeah,
I still think it's going to be really cool, and we're going to learn some stuff.
Yeah, like I think most people, I mean, especially like deep SNL nerds like us, might have an issue with it. Where like, well, this didn't exactly happen like this. Oh, we see like J.K. Simmons as Milton Berle, and he's like, well, actually, Milton Berle hosted in season bubble, and there's that one scene where we see the Dan Aykroyd and the Gilda Radner doing the construction scene.
Yeah,
people are like, well, that wasn't in the first. I can see people being kind of pushing back on that, but the way I see it, I see it as more like you said, like a fictionalized retelling of it, like the Social Network. Like maybe everything didn't happen the way it did in the Social Network, but it's like they take liberties just to make it more cinematic and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, movies do this sort of thing all the time. You have composite characters, or you like maybe a particular anecdote is just too good not to include, and I can totally see that happening with Milton Berle. And we don't know that I don't think they're going to depict Milton Berle as like a future host or anything. I think it's just going to be they're showing J.K. Simmons as Milton Berle to kind of represent the old guard of sketch comedy, kind of reacting to this new generation doing sketch comedy.
Yeah, no, I can see it. Like we also get it's a little bit of a surprise. We see Matthew Rhys as George Carlin in there for a little bit too, which I did not expect to see. And he even sounds like George Carlin a little bit. Like there's like a lot of little flashes I saw of the people playing the characters. Like it's like, oh, that sounds like the original, or that looks like the original person. Like that one
Yeah.
scene where Lamorne Morris was talking to Jim Henson, played uh,
Right.
Jim Henson, and like the way Lamorne is like smoking a cigarette and staring at the guy,
Yeah.
Nicholas Braun. That's what I'm trying to think of. Nicholas
Uh-huh.
Braun, who appears to be playing both Jim Henson and Andy Kaufman,
Right.
and like the way Lamorne is looking at Nicholas Braun is playing Jim Henson and smoking a cigarette, he kind of has Garrett's stare down. I look,
He's got real Garrett vibes, and he looks enough like a young Garrett Morris. And apparently, Lamorne Morris, he has like kind of hit it off with Garrett Morris, because Lamorne Morris said, I think this was in the Vanity Fair article, he said that when he was a young kid, he used to tell people that he was Garrett's son because same last name
right.
and all that. And he's actually, they've hit it off enough that Garrett Morris tells him like, Lamorne, you need to call your mother. So he's like leaning into the "I'm your dad" bit, which is kind of hilarious.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Love that. I follow a couple Muppet pages on Twitter, and like some people were like, "Oh, this guy is not convincing as Jim Henson," and I'm like, he's in it for 6 seconds. what the hell are you talking about? You're judging his entire performance on 6 seconds.
Yeah, like some people get very protective over things like that. It's like when I'd assume like maybe a doctor watches a movie or TV show with doctors in it, and in their mind they're like, "That's not how doctors act. We don't do that."
Yeah, that's true. I mean, when a movie depicts your area of expertise, you are very, very picky about it.
Yeah, I mean, like you see how we talk about movies and TV shows with comedians and stand-up comics.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, no, that's not how joke writing goes. That's not how you do it on stage. And take the mic out the stand. Blah blah blah.
Something that since the same guy is playing both Andy Kaufman and Jim Henson in this movie, for some reason, I have no idea why Nicholas Braun is playing both parts, but I think it's kind of cool. I think it would be hilarious if the finished movie just implied that that Jim Henson was just another Andy Kaufman character, like Tony Clifton or Foreign Man.
Ooh, nice.
I would love that. And people are like, "Hey, Andy Kaufman, where's Jim Henson?" And he's like, I don't know. I'll go look for him." And then he like ducks into a broom closet. He comes back 5 minutes later, and he's got this fake beard and a headband, and he's carrying a Muppet.
I love it.
I mean, come on. Doesn't the Land of Gorch make much more sense if it was an extended Andy Kaufman butt?
It's actually it makes it. It might even make it a little bit funnier.
Yeah,
I like it.
I think that's not my new SNL headcanon. That that they never dealt with the real Jim Henson. It was just Andy Kaufman pretending to be Jim Henson.
Wow. Let's float this idea out there, people. Let's get it out there.
I would love that. I would love that. And, that would be hilarious.
Yeah, and we get to see Willem Dafoe a little bit as David Tebbutt, who was a TV exec whose a big claim to fame is he brought Carson to The Tonight Show after Jack Parr left it. So he's like responsible for for bringing in Johnny Carson and giving us the legend of late night.
Cool. Yeah, and he's kind of like also telling Lauren like, "Hey, this is chaos. What's going on here? This isn't how you run an airline.
What's going on here, kiddo?"
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to it. We just sort of see quick bits of the cast. Most of them don't even have dialogue in.
Yeah, like the person that plays Jan pops up for a bit. The person that plays Gilda pops up. Lorraine. Right. The only person we really get to hear from is Chevy Chase. Yeah, like even like Belushi. We just see Belushi like on the couch stewing and flipping out in pure Belushi fashion.
But apparently the concept of this, it's sort of like a suspense film where the enemy is time. So because they're trying to get it to all come together. And I think they also released the poster. I think the poster sums it up well. They say the writers are inebriated, the set is on fire, the sound system is wrecked, the actors are physically assaulting each other, the crew is in open revolt. They have 90 minutes to figure it all out, or the network is pulling the plug. I mean, wow, that's
Love
cool.
It.
That's cool. That's awesome.
Love it. Yeah,
really looking forward to this.
Yeah. Like I said, the film's written by Reitman and Gil Keenan, who the two of them wrote, of course, the last two Ghostbusters movies,
Right.
Frozen Empire and Afterlife. They seem to really enjoy working together.
Yeah.
Jason Reitman's directing it. Like I'm officially pumped for this film. I like at first I was like, oh, it sounds like it could be cool, but actually having some visuals to see it and see how it's going to play out and
Mm-hmm.
see the tone of it and see how the actors embody the characters that we know and love so much. Like
Yeah.
I'm super pumped. I'm hoping I have a lot more faith that the film will be solid. As long as the film lives up to the trailer, I think we're in for a good time here.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. And if you're any sort of comedy nerd, you're looking forward to this movie. I think it's
Yeah.
just going to be a fascinating document, even if it's not entirely artistically successful. I think it's going to be at 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 the very least an interesting failure.
Yeah,
But I don't
absolutely.
think it's going to be a failure. I think it's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to it. And
It's
you know
gonna.
what I would really love if this movie is so successful that like Jason Reitman keeps making behind the scenes SNL movies.
Ooh.
I was thinking about it, and like you could do like one of these movies for each season of SNL.
Mm.
Like you make a sequel, you call it Medium Talent. It's about the February 18th, 1978 show where Bill Murray and Chevy Chase get into a fist fight just before air.
Nice.
Um, you could do a movie about the New Orleans show where everything just went awful. You could do a movie about uh, when they had the contest winner hosting and Elvis Costello gets banned for singing Radio Radio
Yeah, you could
instead
do
of
an
Less
episode.
Than Zero.
You could do one about the infamous episode 6 season and
Uh huh.
how Charles Rocket dropping the F bomb. Like there's,
Yeah, yeah, that would be cool. That would
that
be
was a
cool.
whole thing.
Yeah, yeah. Or you could do, you could do the very first night of season 6 where it's the entirely new cast, or like the night Eddie Murphy first went on air.
Yeah.
Um, you could do a movie about November 9th, 1985, which was Lauren's first show back after leaving SNL for 5 years.
Oh man, this.
I mean, I thought
Woo.
about this for 10 minutes and I was just like, I thought of 10 potential movies you could make. Like at the season 14 finale, May 20th, 1989, that was like they found out about Gilda Radner's death just a few hours before they went on air, and Steve Martin was hosting that night.
Damn.
And you remember he came out and did the monologue. Instead of doing a monologue, he introduced an old clip called "Dancing in the Dark," which was just like a physical comedy sketch with him and Gilda, and you can see like Steve get choked up. You don't see a hint of it for the rest of the show, but
Yeah, no, he's a professional. He was able to.
yeah. Um,
Yeah, that was. Oof, that was rough.
you could do a show about when Milton Berle hosted. You could do a show about or a movie about when Eddie Murphy subbed as a host for Nick Nolte because Nick Nolte was too sick or hungover.
Yeah, and
You,
yeah, absolutely.
like when Andrew Dice Clay hosted and Nora Dunn uh, skipped the episode in protest when
Uh,
Sinead O'Connor tore up a picture of the Pope on the air, like their first show back after 9/11. You could
oh
do
my god,
movies about all of those, and I bet they would be fascinating.
dude, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
So
so Saturday night we are pumped for it, and we will absolutely do an episode dedicated to it once it comes out, and we will
yeah,
watch it. We'll talk about it. Maybe we'll have some nerds on to nerd out about it with us on the podcast. I don't know. We haven't thought it all the way through, but we're definitely going to do an episode
yeah.
about it. Either it'll
Well,
be like a bonus episode or it'll be a episode.
yeah. Well, I mean, as of this recording, it's opening October 11th, which is the 49th anniversary of SNL's premiere. Which is that's how cool is that?
Pretty cool.
And so that's like exactly 2 months from when we're recording this on August 11th, and I have a feeling that SNL, from what I understand, they're premiering on September 28th this season. And I feel like
Yes.
they're probably going to go uninterrupted until the election, since it's an election year. That's what they
Mm,
usually do.
okay.
So they'll probably go like 5 weeks until the November election. So I feel like we're probably going to have to do this as a bonus episode. I'm getting very inside baseball right now, but
You're seeing how the sausage is made, people.
But yeah, so I feel like we're probably going to have to do this as a bonus episode. But I said to Darren, like when we were texting about this earlier this week, I was like, I don't care if I have to like mug somebody for ticket money. I am seeing this as soon as possible. And yeah, we are recording an episode about this.
All right, so you hear
by
that,
hook
people?
Or by crook.
Yeah, you hear that, people? Stay out of Trumbull's way. He will mug you in a dark alley for money to see this movie.
I will cut a bitch.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Like fork over the cash there, sister.
Yeah.
But yes, Saturday night, an episode about this will happen on the SNL.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yes,
100%.
This is our vow to you, dear listeners.
Yes, this is our promise to you, our faithful listeners, or even our unfaithful listeners. Yeah, even our listeners who listen to other podcasts.
Yeah, you untrue motherfuckers. Yeah, you unfaithful.
Yeah. And speaking of unfaithful people, we got some of those in today's movie, Throw Momma from the Train from 1987.
Yes, Throw Momma.
Starring Mr. Billy Crystal, Mr. Danny DeVito. Danny DeVito's directorial debut.
Yes, absolutely. Jersey's own Danny DeVito directed this film. It also, I think it was DP'd by Barry Sonnenfeld, which explains why like a bunch of the shots look kind of like something out of Men in Black or
Addams Family movie. Yeah.
So,
this movie, it does have sort of a cartoony sort of sensibility. And I mean that in the best possible way. I don't mean that as an insult at all. Yeah, it is like watching a live action cartoon at times. Very funny movie. I really enjoyed revisiting this one. I don't think I've seen this since probably the early 90s.
It's been a minute since I've seen it. It's like, this is like one of those films that was always just kind of running on TBS or TBS or TNT or Channel 11, just like every Sunday afternoon. Like I remember sitting through it once or twice and watching it, and I remember liking it. So I'm glad, like when we rewatched it for this podcast, like I was like, oh no, I still like it. It's still funny.
Yeah, still holds up. Still funny.
Yeah, written by Stu Silver, who's best known for TV. He wrote Webster and It's a Living, I believe Bosom Buddies as well. And this film came out December 11th, 1987. Had a budget of 14 mil, made 57.9 mil. So it was a hit. It did well.
Nice.
And it's a film that's kind of loosely based off of Alfred Hitchcock film, Strangers on a Train. Which
have you ever seen Strangers on a Train?
I have not. No.
Okay. I hadn't seen Strangers on a Train when I first watched this movie, but I have since seen it. I have seen it since. Great movie. One of Hitchcock's best. So I highly recommend Strangers on a Train.
Okay.
So.
All right. I will check it out.
And you could appreciate like certain parallels. Even more. So
yeah, like I mean, in this movie, they literally have Owen, Danny DeVito's character, watching the movie Strangers on the Train, and there is like a train theme throughout the movie too, like when Larry, who's Billy Crystal's character, meets up with the girl Beth he's dating, they like make out on like a children's train, like at an amusement park ride, and like there are train motifs scattered throughout the film.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But
there is sort of foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing, that's the word.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this film I think still holds up. I still get a kick out of it. I dig it.
Yeah, I dig it. And so the film's about this guy Larry Donner, played by Billy Crystal. He's a writer. He's a writer who's going through this rather intense bout of writer's block. He's stuck on literally the first line of his novel. He's stuck on "the night was," and he can't find the right adjective to just do that. And because it's 1987, he's writing this on a typewriter. God, I would hate writing on a typewriter.
I remember doing that way back, like in my junior high days, and yeah, it was rough. Like if you misspelled a word, you have to like white it out and kind of wait for the whiteout to dry,
or exit out, or something. like so much. Like by the time I was learning to type, that's when like personal computers were starting to come in, and I think my first personal computer when I went off to college, if I remember correctly,
Oh wow.
or maybe a little before that. And so much of how I write has been sort of dictated by what a computer can do, and it's just I can't imagine using a typewriter to write.
It was a different time, baby.
Yeah, it was a different time. It's a different time.
You'd have to change the ink ribbon when the ink ran out.
Yeah,
Oof.
I would hate that. I would hate that. Yeah.
Ugh. No,
Ugh.
thank you. Ugh.
So he's having a bad time of it also because his ex-wife Margaret Donner, played by Kate Mulgrew, Star Trek Voyager's Kate Mulgrew, pre-Star Trek Voyager. It's a post Mrs. Columbo, pre Star Trek Voyager Kate Mulgrew.
Oh
It
yeah.
was, I think, around the time she was guest starring on Cheers.
I think that sounds about right. I mean, she's also
Yeah,
was on Orange Is the New Black for maybe a,
that's true. Yes,
which that's what I was like. Oh yeah, Orange Is the New Black. I recognize.
I've never watched Orange Is the New Black, so I don't really associate her with that show
Yeah,
a great deal.
it started off okay, but towards the end it kind of fell off.
Oh well, then screw it.
Yep.
Yeah,
Screwed indeed.
yeah, and she's also a voice actress on Star Trek Prodigy, which I also haven't watched. So I know Mrs. Columbo in Star Trek Voyager. And that is all Kate Mulgrew has ever done.
that is the bulk of her filmography.
That's right. Well, I mean, hey, God bless her for like coming back from Mrs. Columbo and making a career for herself after that, because she could have easily just been like a footnote, because that show was so disastrous.
Yeah. Oof. Ooh boy.
Yeah.
Ooh boy.
So anyway, she stole Billy's book Hot Fire. Horrible title, by the way.
It really is, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a bad title, right?
That's the Hot Fire.
That's the most generic, fake ass title I have ever heard for a book. Hot Fire?
When I heard that, I was like, "The fuck out of here, you Hot Fire!"
Yeah. You don't guest on Oprah for a Hot Fire. You guest on Oprah for like 1,000 Little Pieces.
Yeah.
Or something. Another fake book.
Yeah, exactly. So we see Larry watching his wife on Oprah, taking all the credit for this book she quote unquote wrote,
right,
and making tons of money off of it. It's a bestseller, and
right,
just basically raking in everything that Larry feels like he should be getting.
She's a celebrity author. She's like the J.K. Rowling of her day, only with, I'm assuming, slightly less transphobia.
Exactly. And we also see that like Margaret kind of trash talks the marriage they were in. It's like, oh, well, as soon as I was freed the shackles from that horrible marriage I was in, I was able to write this book. Like she's really twisting the knife.
Yeah, and Oprah's like, well, what do you, and she's like, oh, he fancied himself a writer. And Oprah's like, well, what do you think he thinks of all your success? And she's like, I don't care what he thinks. Oh. Yeah, and it's Oprah's audience in 1987, so they're eating it up. They're like, yay, go girl, yay.
Got him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so of course that makes Larry is just seething with this, and like he blames this on the reason why he can't write and his writer's block.
He is blocked. His friend, played by Branford Marsalis, for some reason.
What a random cameo,
right?
Branford Marsalis.
Branford Marsalis, a pre-Tonight Show Branford Marsalis, comes in and he's like, "You've been on The Night Was since July," and Billy Crystal says, "It takes place in the Yukon." Great line. Great line. Love that line. So Billy Crystal, he also runs a writing class, and one of his students in that writing class is Owen Lift, played by Danny DeVito, who wants to kill his mama.
Yeah, basically Owen is, the way he plays Owen, he's like this kind of very meek, timid, kind of middle-aged man.
Yeah, he's like a man-child.
He's a bit like a man-child, but at the same time, he also has these murderous thoughts of doing it his mother, who is very domineering, overbearing, harsh, and paranoid too. And like you could tell, like, Owen is the only person in her mother's life, so he has to stay with her and take care of her. But at the same time, she's also really mean and calls him fat boy.
Like Norman Bates's mother would be like, hey, take it back a few notches.
Like, easy, lady, easy.
Yeah, I think you're being a little too hard on your son. And she's just like, Owen! Oh, and, very demanding. Owen's doing everything for her because they never really specify like if she's having like physical ailments or whatever, but Owen's like waiting on her hand and foot. He's making all her meals. He's like helping her bathe. He's like her full-time caregiver.
Right. And the mother's played by the late great Anne Ramsey, who you'd probably remember from The Goonies. And this movie got her a Golden Globe nomination.
And an Oscar nomination.
Damn. Oh, you're right.
Yeah. I totally forgot she got a nomination for an Oscar for this. That's damn, son. I mean, when you get an Oscar nomination for a comedy performance, you're kicking ass.
Yeah. I mean, you don't even like, I mean, for a comedy, like you said, like, the Academy doesn't even see comedies as like art.
No. Yeah. Anne Ramsey, like she has this very distinctive voice, and apparently it was a speech impediment that was caused by operations that she underwent to treat her throat cancer.
Oh, Lord.
And she was like, during the filming, she was undergoing additional oral surgery, and she was in intense pain for a lot of this. And it says here on IMDb trivia, according to director Danny DeVito, she never requested to be excused from work. And it went on to become her most critically lauded performance, culminated with the Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress in 1988. And sadly, she died only 6 months after the ceremony because of that very same throat cancer. So,
oh damn, wow.
Yeah, but what a great capper to a career.
Pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, she does do a really good job as the sort of domineering mother.
Yeah.
Owen! You try to kill me.
Yeah, you just want to imitate her when you after you see this movie. I'd kind of forgotten how little she's in this movie. She apparently has only like 10 minutes of screen time total.
She's not in it that much, but her presence is felt.
Yeah, she makes the most of her time on screen though.
Absolutely.
So yeah, Owen wants to kill his mother. He's like fantasizing about ways to do it. We see in his first scene, we see him like putting poison in her Pepsi, and she's about to drink it, and then he like chickens out and bats the cup away from her, so she doesn't do that.
Right. So then we also see that so Larry, like we said, Larry teaches a writing class at a community college.
Right.
Owen is one of the students, and we have like a nice little scene where Larry is reading the class's works out loud in front of everybody. Right. But he doesn't want to read Owen's work because it's not very good, and Owen kind of pushes him
even by the standards of his class. It is not good. And one of the other students has a book called 100 Girls I'd Like to Pork with just a different chapter on each one. He's like, chapter 1, Kathleen Turner. Chapter 2, Sybil Shepherd. Chapter 3. And he says like the Asian woman in the Laker Girls. Yeah. But because it's 1987, he doesn't say Asian.
Yeah. The woman in 4B.
Yeah. It's a coffee table book.
It's fantasy.
Yeah. And by the way, I spotted another couple familiar faces in Larry's writing class.
Hit me.
We've got J. Allen Thomas, who has a very familiar face because he played Jeff Bennett, who was Danny DeVito's sidekick, basically on the sitcom Taxi. He was the guy who was like in the cage, along with what was the name of DeVito's character?
Louis De Palma.
Yeah. He was like Louis De Palma's assistant or sidekick. And,
shit, that was him.
Yeah, I was like, wait, is that the dude from Taxi? And I looked it up, and yes, it's J. Allen Thomas. So I was like, yay! And one of the other guys I know, because I've watched a lot of Cheers, it was Rhea Perlman's father, Phil, who was also a barfly on Cheers. So listen to the Cheers cast, by the way. Great podcast about Cheers, hosted by my friend Ryan Daly. I've guest starred on it at least twice a season. So
All right,
Lots of fun if you like the sitcom Cheers.
Yeah, give it a listen, people.
Yeah, give it a listen. So I was like, oh yay, he gave his father-in-law a part. That's really cool.
Right
So
on. Nice.
yeah.
Very nice.
So um, anyway,
yeah. So basically, Owen talks to Larry after class.
mm-hmm.
Like we see Larry going into the laundromat, and Owen kind of really pressures him on it. It's like, how come you
Yeah.
didn't like it? What was wrong with what I wrote? How come you didn't read it?
Yeah,
And
he's like, it was called Murder at My Friend Harry's. It was a murder mystery in 3 pages, and you only had 2 characters, one of whom is the one who gets killed.
yeah, what's wrong with that?
So yeah, Owen's not a real competent writer. We see him later, and he's literally finger pecking on his typewriter.
Yes.
So he can't even touch type. So
exactly. Yeah. So
Owen doesn't have a lot going on, you guys.
Not a lot. Not a lot. He's a bit of an odd duck, but he's he's trying. He's trying.
It's a really great performance from Danny DeVito, though. I mean, I can't think of another character he's played like this. And apparently he agreed to play Owen in exchange for directing the film.
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah.
All right, cool.
I mean, he's in a lot of this movie. He's like the second lead, and that's kind of tough when you're directing a film as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, like I mean, I know he's kind of mostly known for playing like loudmouth, brash type of character, like Louis De Palma or
right.
His role in like Romancing the Stone or something like that. But like this is like a little bit more, maybe more like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest or something. Whereas like he's like more like playing it quieter, and he's awkward, and he's a little off-putting at times. But but you could tell he's not like a true menace or a true villain or something. It was an interesting dichotomy he played here.
Yeah, it's especially for a character who wants to murder his mother for the majority of this film. He never really seems malicious. He's sympathetic enough that you are kind of on his side, and the mother is so horrible that it's. I mean, Dan DeVito obviously likes dark comedy. I mean, he's directed a lot of dark comedies like Death to Smoochie and War of the Roses.
Right.
So he obviously has a dark sense of humor, but
yeah, like it's a special talent it takes to play somebody who has these fantasies of killing their mother, but making them also likable and like just so that you don't make the audience feel like that they're rooting for a total psychopath.
Yeah, it's a delicate balancing act, and this movie pulls it off beautifully. And so let's see. So Larry, he's still struggling with his novel. He's like, oh, the night was humid, the night was moist, and he can't get any further than this. And I'm watching this, and I'm just like, dude, just like write anything for the first paragraph. Just get going. Have you plotted your novel, or are you just writing this cold? What are you doing?
Yeah, just put a placeholder in there. Just put something.
A placeholder. You can rewrite later, Larry.
Rewriting was a thing back in the 80s. You could do it.
Yes. Even on manual typewriters, you could rewrite stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, but he's just in his head about this writer's block so much so that he kind of cancels on a date he has with another teacher, Beth, who teaches anthropology at the community college, and he apologizes to her at the school, and them talking, him saying, of course, it's just my ex-wife is in my head, and it's just, like at this point, everybody kind of knows that he's kind of like infatuated with his ex-wife, but filled with so much anger and hatred with what she did, and like they know that's a sore spot for him, and it's kind of taken over
another exchange that I liked with his girlfriend Beth, or his soon-to-be girlfriend Beth, played by Kim Greist, was he says, I have writer's block, and she says, everywhere? Because he's kind of explaining that he can't proceed their relationship to the next level because he's so worked up over this.
Perform.
Yes.
If you will.
Yes. So, yeah, I liked that. And meanwhile, Owen is basically stalking him.
Not basically.
Yes. You're right. He is 100% stalking him. And Larry's like, dude, this is not okay. We can talk about your story in class. And eventually, like, Owen is like calling him and stuff. So eventually they meet up, and Larry just says, look, your murder mystery doesn't work. What you have to do is you eliminate the motive and you establish an alibi, because then you create suspense. And he's like, go see a Hitchcock film, and you can kind of learn how this is done. But you got to eliminate the motive, because otherwise you would get caught. And Owen, because he's not real bright, he thinks, oh, Larry is asking me to to help murder his wife. Like Owen, he goes to see the Hitchcock movie Strangers on a Train, which is about, the basic premise of it is...
I'm assuming Strangers on a Train. That's what the...
Yes.
Okay.
Strangers on a Train, it's like these two guys who meet on a train. One guy is like this famous tennis star, and he can't get a divorce from his wife and get things going with his girlfriend. And the other guy, he wants to kill his father. And then the Robert Walker Sr. Convinces him, like, well, what we should do is we should switch murders and crisscross, because like neither one of us can be connected to the other person's murder, because we're just strangers on a train. So,
did it actually say that in the movie?
I don't think he does. I don't think he
we're
says,
just strangers.
We're just strangers on a train. And then he turns to the camera. But it's much like Larry in this movie. He kind of gets roped into this scheme because the other guy goes ahead and kills the first guy's ex-wife. And he's like, hey, I did your murder. Now you have to do mine. And, in the Hitchcock movie, of course, it's this suspense movie, and it's great. Go see it. It's wonderful. I nearly rewatched it before this episode, but but I decided on sleep instead. And so it's like much the same with this one. Is like Owen, he actually goes to Hawaii to kill Larry's ex-wife, and we see the scene where she's on this ferry to Maui, and she like loses her diamond earring, and she's like leaning overboard to try and grab it. And then we see Owen kind of creeping up behind her, and then he calls up Larry and he says, yeah, hey, I killed your wife.
Yeah. I love that scene too, because we see like Owen hopping from payphone to payphone, because because he doesn't want the cops to call him. And then at one point,
right,
I think Larry said, well, wait, what are you trying to tell me? He's like, well, I don't want to say it over the phone, but I'll just say that I killed your wife.
Yeah, that's him being subtle.
I love that. And we also had like a nice little scene where Larry visits his agent, played by Rob Reiner.
Yeah. And his agent is dumping Larry after 7 years, and he's like, oh, by the way, we just signed your ex-wife. So that's cool. Yeah, I guess Rob Reiner was friends with Dan DeVito, and maybe Dan DeVito called in a favor or two.
Yeah, and
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. Well, was it before or after that Crystal and Rob Reiner worked on When Harry Met Sally? It might have been after, I think. But...
When Harry Met Sally was like 1989, so it was after this movie.
All right, so maybe this...
But actually, Billy Crystal was in The Princess Bride the same year as this. And Danny DeVito, he turned down the Wallace Shawn part in that, the inconceivable guy.
Interesting.
Yeah. So.
Oh, wow. That would have been a whole different movie.
Yeah, right? I mean, I could still see that working. I could totally see DeVito pulling that part off.
Yeah.
Have we done The Princess Bride in this movie? On this podcast? We haven't, have we?
I think we did.
Did we?
We've done so many.
We've done so many. I honestly can't remember if we've done Princess Bride or not.
I'm going to check it. I feel like we must have. Like, I feel like we did. Cause like that
I feel like we must have. Let me see. I'm scrolling through the archive now. We'll get back to Throw Momma on a Train, off the train in a minute. We got Princess Bride shit to figure out right now.
We got priorities, people.
Okay, let's see.
We did.
We did. What episode number?
Episode 225.
225. Folks, that episode, it's on our YouTube playlist now.
Ooh, there you go. So check it out.
Check it out. Episode 225, The Princess Bride. Get all our thoughts on The Princess Bride. I may have to listen back to this episode because obviously I don't remember it that well.
Like and subscribe.
I'm curious what we said about it.
Yeah, what the fuck did I say?
Yeah, I don't know.
Listen and find out.
It's kind of fun listening back to your own podcast because like you're like, hey, talk about this thing. And then like a minute later, I will talk about that thing.
Yeah, like, and also I don't remember. I don't remember half the things I say on this podcast for the most part. So
Yeah,
it'll all be new to me. It's like, oh, that sounds pretty smart.
yeah. Every once in a while, I will like go back and listen to an episode that we did like a year or so ago, and it's been long enough that I don't really remember how the conversation went. But
It's new to
but
me.
because I'm still me and I still think like me, a lot of times I'm like, oh, you should bring up this point, John. And then, damned if John doesn't bring up that point on the podcast a few minutes later.
Way to go, John.
I think like me. I'm like, you're awesome, John.
Yeah.
And John from the past goes, thanks, future John. You're awesome too.
I like the way this guy thinks.
He says what I'm thinking.
God. But yeah, go listen to our Princess Bride episode 225.
225 on Non-Productive.com and as well as on the Non-Productive YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
So Owen calls Larry and says, hey, I killed your wife. Now you have to do this. Larry is like, oh shit, because he realized I was like asleep on the beach last night. I don't have an alibi.
Right.
And he goes to his friend Lester in a panic and he says, Branford Marcellus, what's going on? I mean, did I have time to fly to Hawaii and kill my ex-wife and then fly back? And they help him realize that, yes, he did have time. He potentially could have done this.
Yes, because Branford was in bed with a young lady who works for the airline.
Yes. Very convenient.
Very convenient.
But funny scene. Funny scene. And it's just sheer coincidence or happenstance that Larry doesn't have an alibi because like Owen's not smart enough to check this sort of thing.
Right, absolutely. And also, by the way, wasn't it weird how easily Owen was able to get into Margaret's house to or how he found the address? And it's like, wow, that's okay. Then he was able to get into the house, and then he didn't make a move there, but then she left to.
Well, he tries to, but she starts making out with her trophy boyfriend, and so he can't because he doesn't want 2 murders on his conscience. He's not a monster, Darren.
Yeah, I mean 1 murder is fine, but 2.
I mean, no, he's just going to murder the person who did his friend Larry wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not going to murder some random gardener dude.
What do you think I am, a murderer?
No, I mean,
look,
he just wants his mother dead and his friend's ex-wife dead. That's enough, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
he's not a monster.
I'm not a serial killer.
Yeah. But so anyway, Margaret is reported missing and presumed dead. Owen meets up with Larry and he says, oh, I should give you this. It's one of Margaret's diamond earrings.
Yes, and of course, like Larry is, understandably freaking out. Like he actually drives. Because like you said, he has no alibi because he was at the beach by himself trying to figure out the night was line. Right. And he just ended up sleeping on the beach. And then I think he heard on the radio that Margaret was missing. He drives by his house. He sees the cops are waiting for him. So he's freaking out. He goes to Beth and kind of tells her what happened. And Beth is like, wait, did you hire somebody to kill your ex-wife? The ex-wife that you said out loud in front of many people you wish was dead?
Yeah.
And he's like, I mean, no, not directly. I didn't.
Yeah. And I mean, so when they get together, there's so many great lines in this movie. Like another one I wrote down was when Billy Crystal, he's driving around with Danny DeVito, and Danny DeVito, he goes like, how can I do that? I'm a sick person. Cows. And it just shows how childlike he is and how easily distracted he is. He just sees cows on the side of the road and he just goes, cows. That cracked me up. I'd totally forgotten that. But
yeah, that was a good one.
That's like all his character in one line right there. How can I do that? I'm a sick person. Cows.
Ooh.
And he's trying to talk Larry into killing his mother. He goes like, just meet her. Maybe she'll be someone you want to kill.
Try it on for size.
And he has Larry over at his house, and he makes Larry breakfast, and he's still trying to sell Larry on this idea of, yeah, maybe you want to kill my mother once you meet her.
Yeah, because I mean, at this point, like Larry's kind of on the lam, like he's
Right.
kind of hiding out. Like at this
Because
point,
he's a person of interest.
yes,
I
of
don't think
course,
we had that phrase yet in 1987,
right.
but he is definitely a person of interest. They
Yeah,
want to question him at the very least.
yeah. I mean, it's a thing whenever a woman goes missing or dies, the first person you ask is ex-husband, ex-boyfriends,
Right.
ex-lovers.
Because 9 times out of 10,
Yeah,
it's some dude in their life doing something horrible.
exactly. So like at this point, the cops have talked to Branford Marsalis.
Mm-hmm. As you do.
As you do.
As you do. For every police investigation, you say, what does Branford Marsalis have to say about this?
Yes, they took in his saxophone for questioning.
Yes.
Dusted it for Prince.
Did he send the saxophone thing at the hospital at the end of the movie? Was that from Branford Marsalis, do you think?
Maybe.
Like at the end of the movie, like somebody's in the hospital and there's like a gift thing, and then there's like a saxophone there, and I was just like, who's at the saxophone? That's weird.
I didn't even notice that.
Marsalis. Yeah.
Wow. All right. I just said saxophone because the funny word. All right. I gotta check in on that.
All right. Yeah. Watch that last scene again.
All right. But yeah, at this point, the cops have talked to Branford Marsalis. They've talked to Beth. Beth is like,
they talked to his students.
His students who've all said, "Oh yeah, we saw him screaming on the quad."
He said, "I wish she was dead." And then they cut to like the one guy who like wrote the book about like 100 Women I Want to Port, and he just goes, "It's a coffee table book." And the cop is like looking at his manuscript. And he's like, "Oh yes, I see you. Yeah. You have some very interesting things to say in the Kathleen Turner chapter."
Ooh, Page Turner, Kathleen Turner, more like Page Turner. Am I right, guys? Am I right?
All right. If you're keeping track at home, the tally for dad jokes is now at 1.
But yeah, so like Larry hides out at Owen's house, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Mama is like, well, who's this guy? And then
Owen's like, he's our cousin.
He's cousin Patty.
Cousin. Yeah. And she goes, "You don't have a cousin Patty." And then Danny DeVito just goes, "You lied to me," and immediately beans Billy Crystal with a frying pan. Perfect slapstick gag. This is just exquisitely timed.
Pretty hilarious.
Just so damn funny because Billy Crystal just drops right out of frame. Right. I mean, it's funny in the trailer. It's funny in the finished movie. If you were like, show me like a perfect slapstick gag, I would show them this 5-second sequence.
It's pretty hilarious.
It's so funny. Yeah,
absolutely. So now we have Larry kind of on the run and hiding out at Owen's house.
Mm-hmm.
And we also get some nice moments too, where Owen shows Larry his like coin collection.
Yeah,
and but they're just regular coins, just like 2 quarters, a nickel, and a penny.
Right. And you think, that's the gag because he's like kind of a simpleton. But then he's like, oh, no, this nickel is what I got when I did this thing with my dad. And this is the one I got when I did this thing with my dad. And like his dad, did they say if he divorced or passed away from his mother?
No, they just say like, oh, I miss him. So I'm assuming he passed away, but they never really go into it.
Yeah. But that's nice because it gives Owen a little depth, and it's a nice sort of unexpectedly touching scene.
Yeah, I think it's something that again, that's like I think that was another thing they put in there to be like, well, he wants to kill his mom, but we have to make him like not like a total monster. We have to make him a little likable. So let's put this in here.
He's still a good guy.
He's still a good guy. He just
yeah.
So then Owen figures out like a way that he can kill the mother, and he said, "Well, I'm going to go out bowling," and I think he set something up where he said, "Oh, you could, like while I'm out bowling, you can, just take a pillow and smother her to death," and because she's out like a light right now."
Right, and Billy, and he's like, "Oh, you have to like crawl out on the ledge so it looks like a burglar," and Billy Crystal crawls out on the ledge and he sneaks into her bedroom, and he's trying to warn her and say like, "Hey, look, you got to know your son is trying to do you in," and he thinks he's talking to her, and then he realizes that she is asleep and she sleeps with her eyes open.
That is wild.
That's It's so creepy.
How do you even do that? Like your eyes gonna
I
be
don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
aren't your eyeballs gonna be all dry and shit from that?
I don't know. I don't know how people do that, but apparently that is a thing that some people do. And I'm sorry because I just called you creepy.
Yep.
I'm sure you're lovely people otherwise, but it's an odd thing.
It is like
I will say that. I'll walk back the creepy, but it's an odd thing. It's an
it,
unusual thing.
it is a bit off, a bit
Yeah,
unusual. Yeah.
it is. It is not a thing you typically encounter out in the wild.
Right. So Larry realizes he can't go through with it, so he kind of goes through the house trying to find some evidence that maybe incriminates that Owen might have done it.
Right.
He can't really find anything. He finds like plane tickets, but they're in his name. Owen
Right.
got plane tickets in his name.
Yeah, he sees like a lay, that you get like because like I think when you fly to Hawaii, you always get a lay off the plane. At least that's how it works in movies. I don't know. I've never been to Hawaii. I don't know how it works. Um, I hear Hawaii's nice though.
I hear it's pretty nice. Like
They have a wide variety of phone booths apparently.
yeah. Oh,
So
indeed,
that's cool.
absolutely. Got one with like a conch shell on it. That's pretty
Right.
great.
I mean, it's more appealing in 1987
Yeah. I
as
mean,
opposed to now, but
yeah. The Brady Bunch seemed to have a great time when they went.
yeah, yeah. If you stay away from the cursed tikis, Hawaii, awesome.
Yes. Just
Yeah.
just stay away from the don't. Yeah, you'll wipe out like Greg did.
Doodaloo!
You know exactly what I was talking about, John. That's why I
Yeah.
love you.
Well, of course, of course. I'm a Gen X kid who grew up watching the Brady Bunch, and in the early 2000s, I watched Scrubs, where they also referenced the Cursed Tiki. So yes, I know the Cursed Tiki, and I know the Cursed Tiki's little doodaloo theme.
Very
So
nice, very nice.
I know how things work.
You know how things work.
Yeah,
You can handle things. You're smart.
I'm smart. Not like everybody says, like
Dumb.
dumb. I'm smart.
What respect?
Mm.
I was looked over, Mikey.
God, I gotta rewatch the Godfather movies.
Oh god, I was passed
Anyway,
over.
we're going from the train.
So at this point, the cops come and knocking at Owen's house because they want to talk to Owen.
Right. Billy Crystal's trying to hang out or hide out. He's in the pantry. And Owen comes back and he thinks the deed has been done, and he's like, "Well, what's the problem, officers?" And then and then they say, "Oh, well, we just want to question you about this Larry guy who's your teacher who's disappeared." And so like Danny DeVito, he's there's several teases where he's like, "Oh, officer, could you go in the pantry where Billy Crystal is hiding?" He's like, "Could you go get this tea?" And yeah, it's an interesting sort of suspenseful scene, but it's still funny.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Like the way it was shot, you could tell they were trying to sort of make it or make it at least reminiscent of like the Hitchcock films. Like there were like a couple of scenes in there. Like
there is that, and there's also some fun cartoony slapstick, like hitting Billy Crystal with a frying pan, or when Billy Crystal goes down the stairs in the closet door that they rigged.
Yes, because like it was rigged to have Momma fall down the stairs and kill herself,
Right.
but like she is able to hang up her shawl on it without nothing happening, and then
Right.
Billy was like, "Well, why didn't this fall?" And of course,
yeah,
when Billy does it, it falls, or
it instantly falls over, and he goes down the basement stairs like a toboggan.
Yeah,
and
it smashes into like the water heater or something.
Yeah, and good cartoony slapstick thing. Very very Danny DeVito, very Barry Sonnenfeld. It wouldn't be out of place in one of the Addams Family movies.
Yeah, I also like that there was that one line where Danny DeVito or Owen lets the cops into the house, and he hears his mother screaming for him. He's like, "Mom, you're alive!" And then he sees the cops, and it's like, "Oh, old people, you have to reassure them."
Yeah.
I thought that was funny.
And this is also a really really good part for Billy Crystal, because he's really good as like the one sane man being exasperated by all the nutty people around him, and it's a good part for him.
It is.
And I hadn't revisited this movie in a long time, and I really enjoyed rewatching it. I mean, I haven't seen this as much as like When Harry Met Sally or Princess Bride or City Slickers, but it's it's up there. It's in my top 5 Billy Crystal movies now.
Yeah, I kind of think this movie's a little underrated too. You don't hear too many people talk about it anymore.
No, it's fallen down the memory hole a little bit, and I don't know why that is. I feel like we are due for a throw mama from the train reappreciation, a throw mama from the trainaissance, if you will.
Yes. Let's bring it back.
Yeah, I mean, just really well done. Really great debut from Dan DeVito. I think like all the gags land. And it's very funny. It's a quick movie. It's only like an hour and a half. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's really good stuff.
Yeah, very good. So I mean, at this point, we see like the Owen's mom kind of scares off the cops because she's screaming at Owen, saying, "Oh, he's trying to kill me. He's the worst."
Right.
Then like you said, I think they try to set it up so that the mom dies through that door that leads to the basement, but the mom just kind of is able to sort of.
Oh, that happens after the cops leave.
Yeah,
right?
after the cops leave, and
okay, yeah.
And like
I get a little muddled because I was like kind of caught up in the film, and I stopped taking extensive notes at this point.
Oh, that's okay. But yeah, then after the cop leaves, Owen's like, "All right, well, you try to kill her again. Like, I'm gonna go bowling. I'll have an alibi. You set up this thing," and they rig up the door to the basement so that it falls over. So when she goes to hang up her shawl, she'll fall down the steps and kill herself.
Yeah.
But the mom just kind of. She goes to do it, but then Larry tries to stop her because he has second thoughts.
It's like a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Yeah. At one point, the mom calls him a black bastard, which he goes like, "What?"
That's just, it's so out of nowhere. Yeah. It's like, okay, I guess the mom's racist, and she thinks Billy Crystal's black, or she doesn't know how racism works, or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's so random. It's not really offensive.
Yeah,
at least I didn't find it offensive.
No, I didn't either.
As a black man, find it offensive?
No, it's more confusing than offensive.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, so then when Owen gets back to the house, he sees that Larry is knocked out. Mom's like, "Oh, he's dead. Go bury him in the yard before he starts to stink."
Right. Yeah.
Very compassionate.
So horrible person. Yes.
Exactly. So then the mom goes to rest, and then it seems like Owen is kind of snaps a little bit, and it looks like he's about to pull out a gun, but it turns out to be a trumpet, and he blows it into her ear for so long that she passes out.
Yeah,
which is interesting.
And then they realize that Larry is. The cops think that Larry killed his ex-wife, and so Larry's like, "I've got to go on the run."
Right, because at this point, Larry stays there till the morning, and then the next morning. The ex's, disappearance makes the news, and then they say that Larry is a person of interest, and then they use this very unflattering picture of Larry, where it looks like he's in the middle of eating spaghetti or cake or something.
Yeah.
It was hilarious.
That's a funny bit. Yeah,
it's a funny bit. It's like literally he's stuffing his face, and that's the picture they use on the news. So So Mama sees that and is like, "Oh my God, he's a murderer! I'm calling the cops." Right. And she calls the cops, and then Larry freaks out. So Larry hops on a train to Mexico and brings.
Right. He says, "We have to get on a train because we have to justify the title of this movie."
Exactly.
Which I thought was a weird fourth wall break, 3/4 of the way into the film.
It was interesting. It was a choice. Yeah. It was a choice.
Yeah. I mean, he says, because this movie's called Throw Mama from the Train. We haven't thrown a mother from the train yet. We need to at least lead up to that.
Exactly.
And it's a weird conversation for the characters to have because nobody's broken the fourth wall up until this point.
It's a choice.
It's a choice.
Yeah, so all three of them are on a train to Mexico. I think it said Owen and Mama go to avoid having to lie for him or something. But
yeah. Well, I think Owen is still kind of hoping that Larry will kill his mother.
Still holding out hope.
He's holding, fingers crossed. Pinky swear. You'll kill my mom.
You promise.
And while they're on the train to Mexico, Larry is kind of pontificating again. He's saying well, that's writing. You got to find the perfect word. He's like, the great opening. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. The night was humid. The night was moist. And that's writing. And then the mother just sort of casually says, sultry. The night was sultry. And Larry like realizes that it is the perfect line to open his novel. And she gets up to leave, and she's like, "I gotta get going. It's too damn sultry in here." And then Billy Crystal just stands up, and Owen's like, "Where are you going?" He just says, "I'm gonna go kill the bitch." And
Can I bring you want anything?
Yeah, yeah, that's so funny. That's so funny, and that's great. I love that is the reason that finally pushes Larry over the top, and he's like, "Yeah, this is what's finally gonna make me homicidal."
Yeah.
So funny. So funny.
It is funny, yeah. So like through the train, like as they walk through the train, Mama's kind of being chased by Larry,
Mm-hmm.
and of course
Yeah.
saying like, "There's a murderer on the train. There's a murderer. Like that guy's trying to kill
There's a
me.
murderer chasing me.
He's chasing me."
Yeah, she's like banging on the doors with her cane. She's disrupting a bingo game that's going on.
Exactly.
And she's, what does she say to the bingo players? She's something like, what are you doing playing bingo? There's a murderer.
There's a murderer on the loose.
Yeah.
And of course, Larry's like, "Oh, it's my mom. She's crazy.
Yeah.
Her medication, and it's fine. It's fine."
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. And then, like, finally, she reaches the end of the train. She's like at the very last car, so there's not another car for her to get to. So she's cornered basically.
Right. And then Owen chases Larry because Owen kind of realizes, "Oh, I don't want my mom to die." So like he goes to stop him.
Right.
And then there's this whole like really intricate scene where like the mom is almost about to fall off the train, but then Larry's trying to save her, but it looks like he's trying to kill her. So Owen's trying to stop him.
Right.
And it's just this whole kind of scenario happening where just like everybody's trying to, pull each up over the train type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, some funny physical comedy, and
But then what does happening is after Owen pulls up Mama from the train, Mama's like very nice to Owen. It's like, "Oh my God, you saved my life. I love you, son."
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
then she's angry at Larry and ends up punching him in the gut, and he ends up falling off the train.
Right.
I mean, there are slight moments where the mom is nice to Owen. It's like, "Oh, I love you, baby boy," but
Right.
I don't know. It's almost like, I guess, Stockholm syndrome-y type of thing.
Yeah, kind of. But Owen seems to realize he doesn't actually want his mom dead, and it seems to like really take this time. So he's not going back on that again.
Absolutely.
And then we pick up. It's like a year later, right?
No, not yet, because what happens?
Okay, what am I forgetting?
We find out, we see Larry's in the hospital, and we find out that his ex-wife Margaret is still alive,
yes.
not dead.
Yes, she's still alive. She was rescued after she fell off the ferry, and she was rescued by this Polynesian dude, and she's getting married to the Polynesian dude, and she's sold the story for like $1.5 million. So
yay!
Yeah, and Larry's still very bitter, and his roommate at the hospital gets up and he's like, "Dude, you got to get past this. This is eating you alive. This is like every 10 minutes you're going on about your ex-wife."
Yeah, like he's basically saying what all of Larry's friends should have told him, like years ago.
You're not even appreciating this nice little heart balloon with the saxophone in front of it that Branford Marsalis sent to you. Apparently,
that's a nice sax.
Yeah, it's a nice sax, and you have not said one word about it, and so much so that Darren Patterson on the SNL Nerds podcast, 30 odd years later, has not even noticed it because it wasn't commented on in dialogue.
Right.
I mean,
a lot of fourth
how
wall
ungrateful
breaking.
can you be?
Yeah. A lot of fourth wall breaking in this film.
A lot of fourth wall breaking. A lot of oddly specific predictions about the future.
It's a choice.
It's a choice. I mean, but
yeah. But then after that, we get like a quick little dream sequence where Larry meets his ex-wife in real life, and he, not in real life, but in the dream, and like
in the dream's real life.
Yes, in the dream.
Really, if you think about it,
in the dream life. He has this dream where he's choking his wife to death, but then he ends up actually choking himself.
Yeah. because that's what hate does. It eats you alive.
Okay.
It's like taking poison and expecting the other person to die.
Whoa.
That's what bitterness does.
Bloom.
Jealousy does, or one of those things. I don't know.
Yeah,
I just remember that line about taking poison and expecting the other person to die.
Yeah, no, that's a good line, man.
Yeah,
well done.
I wish I knew what it applied to, but yeah, it's one of those things.
It's one of those things.
It's one of those things. Jealousy, but I don't know.
Yeah, but so it's basically he has this dream, which is a very heavy-handed metaphor, and he's like, you know what? Yeah, I need to let go of this obsession with my ex, and then he starts writing the whole crazy thing that happened with him and Owen about like
right. It's flowing out of him. He was like, his name was Owen. He was in my writing class. He wanted me to kill his mother, and he turns it into this whole suspense novel, I guess, or maybe comedic suspense novel. We don't really know.
Right.
But we see a big pile of paper by his typewriter. We see note cards where he's like, apparently worked out the plot, which is that's good. I'm glad he's finally doing that and not just trying to write a novel cold.
Yeah.
Writing out your plot on index cards, very, very helpful as a writer.
How about that? Planning out what you're going to write instead of just sitting down and writing it.
Right? Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, you can put the plot points down in little sentences. You can even shuffle the cards and see if that a different order might work better. It's
great.
It's like you can change things during the writing process. It's nuts.
It's crazy, baby.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's
So now it's a year later.
Yes.
And now Larry is like he says he's very close to finishing his novel.
He says, I'm like half a paragraph away from finishing. And I'm like, why did you answer the phone, dude?
Yeah. I'd rip the phone out the wall because this is back when there were landlines.
Yes. You don't answer the phone when you're like in the groove.
No.
God, no. It's so tough to get into the groove. You don't want to do anything to disrupt it when you're in the groove.
Yes.
So
get into the groove, like Madonna says.
Exactly. Get into the groove. Boy, you've got to prove your love to me. Yeah. That's the only lyric I remember. What was that from? One of Madonna's movies? Was that from the Suddenly Seeking Susan? Desperately Seeking Susan? That was it.
Yes, it was. I think was it either that or Who's That Girl? But I'm pretty sure it's Desperately Seeking Susan.
Yeah,
I did dig that.
The one with Roseanne Arquette, right?
Yes. I'm pretty sure that was.
I've never seen that.
Me neither. I wonder if that.
I did a while back. I watched a YouTube thing where a guy was like watching all of Madonna's movies and critiquing them.
Oh.
And I was fascinated by this, even though I've seen very few of Madonna's movies. I've seen Dick Tracy, and that's probably about it.
Yeah, I mean, you must have seen A League of Their Own.
I have seen A League of Their Own. A League of Their Own was actually shot in Evansville, Indiana, the town I went to college in.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
I've told you about this, right?
I don't think you have. This is new information.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I apologize for the tangent, but A League of Their Own was shot in Evansville, Indiana. I went to the University of Evansville, and it was shot there because like the town was, I guess, undeveloped enough that it could still pass for the 40s with the right redressing, and they had like baseball diamonds and stuff. And they used a lot of students from the University of Evansville as extras in the film.
Okay.
The University of Evansville is like a big theater school, and like a few famous actors like Ron Glass graduated from Evansville, or the guy who played the neighbor on Home Improvement.
Oh, Wilson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, wait, no, it's not Wilson. It's the guy. It's Richard Karn, the guy who played the sidekick on Tool Time.
Oh, Al Borland.
Yeah, the bearded guy.
I just know all this stuff right off the top of my head. I'm not even looking it up.
That's fine. That's great. I never watched Home Improvement, so I can't remember. But Richard Karn, that actor, he was a University of Evansville graduate, and there are probably some other famous people that I'm forgetting.
Okay, far out.
Rami Malek. Rami Malek is a U of E grad.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so, and actually my roommate, Scott Hume, who's a listener to this podcast, he and I
Hi, Scott.
were nearly extras in the film, but I think we'd had a little too much to drink the night before, and the next morning we were like, we're a little too tired and hungover to do it. Now, of course, we didn't know it was going to be a freaking little League of Their Own. If we'd known, I think we would have gotten it together and like gone out to the stadium and
We're
put on our suits and be like, we're people from the 40s.
Hey,
yeah, buddy. You know that famous shot of A League of Their Own where Gina Davis makes the catch while she's sliding in to home?
Yes.
Yeah. Her double in that is a dude.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I think it's in the reverse shot.
But
right. Her double in that is a dude. I used to literally live next door to that guy.
Really?
I think, if I remember his name correctly, I think his name was Michael Barron.
Wow.
I may be off on that, but yeah, and I remember him saying, like, he was standing around set and he's like, wearing a wig and he's wearing the skirt because, he's doubling for Gina Davis. And he was like actually hit on by a few crew members, I think, who didn't realize.
Hey there, Dollface.
So yeah, when you watch that, there's like a close up of Gina Davis where after she slides, but when the actual slide is done in a reverse shot, and that's a dude, I believe.
Wowee. Okay. Wow.
So yes, I know. And Madonna actually, she spoke ill of Evansville, Indiana, in a TV Guide interview, because I remember this because she couldn't get MTV at the hotel she was staying at.
Oh, for God's sakes!
So she was like she felt very, very disconnected because she didn't know what was going on in the musical world.
Oh.
She didn't get her MTV. She didn't get to hear from Kurt Loder and Tabitha Soren telling her all what was happening.
It's constantly telling the person at the front desk, "I want my MTV."
Yes, and they were like, "You got to call your cable company. That's not us. We're a hotel."
I need to know what Ricky Rackman's up to.
Ricky Rackman, Adam Curry. By the way, Tabitha Soren did hear an episode of this podcast, said that we were funny.
Yeah, thank you.
I just like to remind people of that.
Shout out to
I don't think she's still listening, but she did say, "You guys are funny."
Shout out to Tabitha.
I wrote her on the social media and I said, "Hey, your name came up on this episode." And
wow. Well,
yeah, I don't remember what episode that was, but yeah, we went on a Tabitha Soren tangent once upon a time,
as we are wont to do.
Yeah, as we are wont to do, and I think that's about all I have to say about A League of Their Own.
Okay. Oh, but yeah, I looked it up. Yeah, Into the Groove.
And you know what? We could do League of Their Own sometimes because John Lovitz is in that movie. He's the baseball scout.
Yes, he is. Ooh. Maybe. Yeah. All right.
Well, now I've already shot my wad with all the League of Their Own trivia I know, though.
You'll just bring it back. Like I've said on the podcast, I don't remember half the things we say on it, so you can bring it back when we do League of Their Own.
Okay. Yeah, I'll repeat the anecdotes.
Yeah.
I'll just be an old man repeating my stories.
My glory days.
All right. Anyway. Okay.
Oh yeah. So yeah.
Home stretch.
Yeah. Oh, and yeah. Into the Groove is on the Desperately Seeking Susan soundtrack.
Thank you.
I was looking at that up while we were talking about this.
Thank you. That thing we were talking about 5 minutes ago.
Yep. So Larry's almost finished.
I totally forgot how we got on the League of Their Own.
Yep.
Tangent. Thank you for keeping me somewhat focused here.
I try. So Larry's almost finished with his book.
Yes, he is. Because he's not as easily distracted as I am right now.
We made fun of him for picking up the phone, and we just went on a whole tangent about A League of Their Own.
Well, I'm not writing anything right now, you see.
But you're podcasting.
I'm podcasting, but yeah, the nice thing is that podcasting, you can go on huge tangents, and it's hopefully amusing.
Yes. Hopefully.
ADHD can actually be an advantage in the podcasting world, not so much in the writing world.
That's a plus. So Larry's almost done. He gets the call from Owen, who's across the street. Right. Owen comes to visit him, seeing how he's doing after the whole little adventure. And then
Larry's like, "Hey, I'm doing great. I've written this book. It's just flowing out of me. It's been awesome. I've been writing nonstop since I got out of the hospital. How are you doing? What's going on? How's your mama?"
Yeah, and he says like his mother did die from natural causes.
Yeah,
he didn't off her,
right.
But he says things other than that, things going well. I'm actually on my way to New York City.
Yeah, I've written a book.
Yes,
and I'm
in a year, I guess. And he's written a book, and it's gonna be out.
And gotten a publishing deal, and yeah. So that's a quick turnaround.
Yeah, and then Larry's like, "Wow, that's great. What's the book about?" He's like, "Well, it's about us." It's about all our adventures together. It's called Momma and Owen's friend Larry.
Yeah.
And you slowly start to see the hatred boil.
The light leaves Billy Crystal's face, and he's just like, "Really? That's what you're?" And so he thinks the exact same thing is happening to him again that his ex-wife Margaret did, where she stole his idea. Did the movie is a little unclear. Did Margaret just steal his idea or his plot for the book, or did she like steal the book outright?
I don't know. I guess that's just left to interpretation. I mean, we're told by Larry that she stole it outright, but there's no
Right.
she never confesses to it. There's no real evidence that she actually did it.
I'm thinking maybe she like maybe stole the plot, but she actually still did write the book herself. Because if she
Yeah.
was like using Larry's words, he could sue her.
Yeah, no, that's very true.
If she just ripped off the plot from an unpublished book, then maybe he couldn't unless he could prove that somehow.
Yeah, no, it's very true.
Yeah.
Like it's, I mean, yeah, I mean, of course, Larry says she stole it, but then again, Larry hates her so he's a bit of an unreliable source.
Yeah, I mean, he is biased, but you think there's got to be something behind that. But yeah,
Yeah,
I do wonder why he wasn't able to sue her. I wish the movie had addressed that in some fashion.
yeah, no, that's true. That's true.
Like maybe she stole all his notes and he doesn't have anything anymore to prove that she stole it.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm just spitballing.
yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes total sense. So once Larry hears that Owen wrote a book about their adventures, of course,
Mm-hmm.
he's seething with anger again, and
Yeah.
he's literally he literally chokes out Owen, and then
Yeah.
Owen's like, no, 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 wait, just here, look at the book here, and then he sees that Owen wrote a children's pop-up book.
Yes.
So like
Yes.
the story's been drastically altered to be suitable to children. So
Right. And he's like, "Is there any murder in this?" And he's like, "No, there's no murder. Instead of throwing her from the train, we go on a nice picnic in the park."
yeah, so
And kudos to the movie's prop people because they made an actual effing pop-up book with nice likenesses of Danny DeVito, Billy Crystal, and Ann Mira. No, not Ann Mira. What's the name of the actress playing the mother?
Anne Ramsey.
Ann Ramsey. Ann Ramsey. Ann Mira's Ben Stiller's mother.
Yeah. But yeah. So like, of course, once he sees that, he calms down. It's like, oh, this is great. I love this book.
Yeah, yeah. And he's like, and this doesn't infringe on my book at all. Yay!
Yay! I win.
Yeah. I'm amazed that they both chose to use everyone's real names, though.
Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, like that stood out too. Like, don't they normally switch up names to protect the innocent type of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I could see Owen being that stupid, but Billy Crystal, he should be smarter than that.
Yeah. Oh, this is my friend Bowen. And
Yeah,
and
my friend Owen.
And
yes.
and then it's about then Bowen.
And I'm what's the name that rhymes with Larry?
Harry.
Mary?
Gary.
Harry. I'm Harry.
Yeah. Am I ever?
Yeah.
Yeah. So everything turns out fine. Like months go by, and then we see Larry and Larry's girlfriend Beth and Owen vacationing together in Hawaii. The book came out; it's a success
because it's a movie in the '80s. How do you end it except everybody vacationing in a tropical paradise? That's how we ended trading places.
Yes.
That's how we're ending.
Running scared.
Throw Mama from the train. Running scared. Yeah, that's just one of our standard 1980s movie endings.
Oh, sweet freedom.
Yeah. And it's this is a PG-13 movie. We can't have the gratuitous movie nudity that we usually get in 1980s movies. So yeah, we got to have them in a tropical paradise. Fletch ends with that too.
Yeah, it does.
They're like walking on a beach, but it's like a really overcast beach, and they like actually flew out to somewhere like Hawaii.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, beach.
Yeah,
people love ending movies on beaches back in the '80s.
That's like part of the 1980s movie formula. It's nuts.
Maybe that's why I like beaches so much. I don't know.
Maybe. Do you like the movie Beaches?
I don't think I've seen it in full.
I've never seen it either.
I know. Yeah. I know it's like one of those movies that like every girl like grown up with in the '80s has seen it.
Bette Midler and Barbara Hershey, and she's got cancer or something.
Wind Beneath My Wings, yes.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen it in its entirety because I'm a man's man. I watch
either.
macho shit.
No. I mean, we want to watch like John McClane,
Yeah, A League of Their
fighting
Own.
terrorists in a skyscraper.
Yeah, I watch macho shit like A League of Their Own.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's no crying in baseball.
There isn't. All the way, May.
All the way, May.
Oh, shout out to Marla Hooch.
Okay, all right. We got to pencil in League of Their Own.
I guess so. I guess we
sometimes. After we get past episode 300, we're penciling in A League of Their Own.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised we haven't done it yet. I do. That is probably one of my favorite films from the '80s.
It's a great movie. Well, early '90s.
Early '90s, yeah.
Early '90s, yeah.
It's definitely one of those films I look on fondly.
Yeah.
And I look on this movie fondly too. Throw Momma from the Train. Still holds up. Still solid.
Yeah.
I think it's still a pretty solid film.
Yeah, and I like in the last scene they're like sort of, because Owen's like a full-fledged writer now. They're quibbling over the last line of Larry's book. Hate makes you impotent, love makes you crazy. Somewhere in the middle, you survive.
Yeah, it's too cryptic.
Yeah, it's too cryptic. Too cryptic.
Yeah, like at this point, it seems like Owen has a little bit more confidence and he's a little bit more worldly.
Yeah,
because
he's in a good place.
Yeah.
Like if you asked me before this, like, does Owen know the word cryptic? No, he doesn't know the word cryptic.
And now he knows the word cryptic. Look at my boy.
Now he knows the word cryptic. He's expanded his vocabulary, so it's all been worth it.
Look at my boy growing.
All the attempted matricide has been worth it.
See, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
see, I mean, matricide has its good points, right?
Why doesn't anybody talk about the positives of matricide?
Right. That's right.
Come on.
You get 4 Psycho movies out of it.
4.
I mean, they made 4, right? They made 4 with Anthony Perkins, at least.
I believe so. And then they made the reboot with Vince Vaughn of all people. That was so weird.
That was weird. I've only seen bits of that. I don't know what's going on there. What were you doing, Gus Van Sant?
Yeah, that one I remember seeing for the college newspaper and thinking it was just okay. And I remember that movie didn't. I was like, why did they a shot for shot remake of a movie that doesn't need to be remade? Like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why is this?
I don't know. It's a mystery. It's a mystery. Anyway, but Throw Momma from the Train really holds up.
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. I really enjoyed revisiting this. I hadn't seen this in at least a decade. It could be 20 years since I've seen this, but I really liked it. It was just familiar enough that I enjoyed revisiting it, but like some of the gags still surprised me. Yeah. I mean, like, I'd forgotten, like, how can I do that? I'm a sick person. Cows.
Dude, when you do the write-up for this episode, you're going to have to include that.
Maybe that's how I'll end it. Yeah, we'll see. Well, I mean, the people listening to this will already know because they'll hopefully have read the write-up. But I do most of the write-ups if you didn't know, most of the descriptions.
Pulling the curtain back a bit.
Yeah. Although a lot of times I do the write-up and then you do the description on Twitter. Yeah. Which I like because I hate working within the word limit of Twitter. But a lot of times you'll mention something I forgot to mention in the write-up, and I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to mention.
Yeah, so it's okay, man. Like that's how we work in tandem. Good sir.
Yeah, because like last week you were like, plus our reactions to Punky and Molly leaving, and I was like, oh shit, I forgot to mention that in the description last week. That's like kind of a big thing, right?
Yeah, kind of, but it's okay.
Yeah, but so anyway. I guess the lesson is if I can find a reason to beat myself up over something, I will find it somehow.
Yes, absolutely. Welcome to the arts. That's how.
Yes,
that's how we artists work.
Nothing you do is ever good enough.
Yes.
The night was sultry.
Oh, vault. Yeah, that stings.
As a writer, I do kind of understand that, what Billy Crystal was feeling in that moment. You're struggling over this for 6 months, and then she hits on the perfect word after like 30 seconds. Yeah.
I'll show you, sultry.
I'm gonna go kill the bitch. Very funny movie, and it's like Dan DeVito, he really nails the right tone of this because it never seems like it's in bad taste or anything.
Right.
It's just fun because it's so absurd.
Yeah, it never gets like too crass or too to whatever. Yeah, it's a perfect tone of dark humor, but it also has like some slapsticky stuff in it too. But it's a delicate tightrope to walk. But I think Jersey's own Danny DeVito, I think he pulled it off. I'd say.
Yeah, he really did. You can really see why he went on to have a directing career after this, because it's a really great debut.
Yeah.
So yeah, throw Momma from the train. Check it out, folks. I watch it on Tubi, so it's available for free on Tubi right now.
Yeah,
commercial free.
Ooh wee.
Yeah, so go to Tubi and check out Throw Momma from the Train.
Yes, absolutely.
See it again for the first time.
Yes, but it won't be the last.
No.
All right. And and that's our episode, guys. Thanks again for listening, as always, to our little podcast. As always, you can follow us on Twitter, because we refuse to call it X, at SNL Nerd Show. And you can follow me on all the socials at Darren Credible. That's DARIN Credible.
Yes. You can follow me on all the socials at Trumbull Comic, TRUMBULL, and the word comic. And you can follow me on the Twitter, on the Instagram. You can even find me on Blue Sky. I'm there sometimes. And you can follow us on YouTube now, too. We've got a whole archive of episodes up on YouTube at Non-Productive. Or just search for SNL Nerds Podcast, and you'll find us popping up there.
Yes, absolutely. And as always, you can leave a review. Let us know your thoughts. Donate money to our Patreon at Non-Productive.com. Do those things. Help us grow.
Yeah, give us a nice 5-star review, and help us grow. We haven't had a nice review for the podcast in a while, so we always appreciate that. And that really does help boost us up in the algorithms and searches, results, and all that fun stuff. So help us out. Spread the word.
Help us help you.
Help us help you. Do you want to hear more tangents about A League of Their Own or Madonna's career in general?
Do you want us to get in the groove?
Yeah.
Prove our love to you?
Yes. Anyway, all right. That's enough plugging. And what are we doing next week, Darren?
What are we doing next week on a big episode 299?
299, right before 300. Because it's a tricky episode. We got it. We want to have something big for 300, but we can't have anything in 299 that's going to take the focus away.
That's right. But we want something memorable. So when you think of memorable, you think of memory, and having a short term of it. So
right, I see where you're going. Okay. So, all right. Hey, that's a nice transition.
Right?
You've learned.
I'm pretty proud of myself.
You are. Yeah, I'm proud of you too.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you too.
We're going to go ahead and do 50 first dates.
50 first dates with Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore coming back together after their previous successful pairing in The Wedding Singer. Where Adam Sandler falls in love with Drew Barrymore, but she's got a condition. She's like a Memento type person where she can't remember things beyond the last day. So he has to be like, oh no, I have to make her fall in love with me, and she can't remember me from one day to the next. And what are we gonna do? So Adam Sandler's in it. Drew Barrymore's in it. The king of comedy himself, Rob Schneider's in it. I couldn't say it with a straight face either. Yeah, we got Sean Astin. We got Dan Aykroyd in it.
We got Maya Rudolph in this bitch.
Yeah. Ooh, look at that. All sorts of SNL alums. Kind of surprising we haven't done this yet.
Yeah. So it looks pretty solid. Like, I remember this movie doing well. I haven't seen it at all, so. I have actually seen it once.
Ooh, and okay. It'll be an interesting one to talk about.
Okay. That's nice and cryptic.
That's my little teaser for next week. Yeah, we'll have things to say, I think.
It's nice and cryptic, right?
Yeah.
So we're doing it. 2004's 51st Date on the next episode of SNL.
Yes. So we will be back, and then we'll forget that we recorded it, and we'll have to record the whole thing again. It'll be a whole thing.
Hooray!
But anyway, that's next week. We'll see you next week for that. But until then, Nerds out!
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer, Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit non-productive.com.